Alright, so I got the Flow motion activated kitchen faucet today from Home Depot. It's normally $250. They had it on sale for $130. Figured I'd give it a try since it was about the same price as a non-motion activated pull down sprayer. Kind of wanted to give the motion activated thing a try. It also has smart latch. When you pull the sprayer down, it's supposed to turn on, and when you put it back, it's supposed to turn off. It's battery powered, so there's no hard wiring for it. Just get some rechargeable batteries. It's made by BioBidet, and it has a 5-year warranty. So it comes packed pretty nice in this mesh bag. Got the instructions here. We'll go ahead and unpack it so we can see everything that's there. Alright, we got it all unpacked. You have the weight, you have the hardware. That's going to be the tool for removing the aerator on the spray head if you need to clean the aerator. Here's the control box and the plug for the sensor for the motion activation. You can see it takes the 4 AA batteries there. And if you want to put it into manual operation, you turn that counterclockwise until those tabs touch the bottom like the picture shows there. There's the spray head with the aerator that can be removed for cleaning. The deck plate for 3-hole installation. And here's the faucet. That is going to be the motion sensor underneath that. Here's the other connection for the motion sensor that goes to the control box. There's the hot and cold water lines. They're 3/8 inch, and you can see the blue and the red on the tubes, so you don't get them mixed up. And here is the inlet line going into the faucet, and they have a sticker here for where to put the weight, so it's properly adjusted to pull the spray head back in. And then that's going to be the other water line that's going to connect to the control box. So I'm going to start putting this together and see what happens. Alright, so if you're going to do a single hole installation, you're going to want to use that O-ring first. That's going to slide up into here. It's got a little groove that it sits in. If you're doing 3-hole installation with the deck plate, you don't want it. Otherwise it's going to take up the space that you want this to slide into. It's got a little rise on the deck plate here. What that does is it goes into here and locks into place. There we go. Locks into place, and that's what stops this piece from rotating, but still allows the head to rotate here. So again, if you're doing 3-hole installation, just don't use the O-ring. Alright, got it installed in here. Thought I was going to have a little bit of trouble dropping it down through the hole here with all those lines, but it actually fit pretty easily. Still just a loose fit. I got all the lines dropped down through, and on the end of these water lines here, these nuts are 5/8 inch, so use a 5/8 inch wrench for the extra little bit of snug. And if you have a plug underneath your sink, I still need to do this. I plan to replace that with a GFCI outlet, or just some sort of outlet with some extra protection. This house is pretty old and doesn't come with that stuff, so that's a project for another day. Alright, so under here I started putting on the rubber gasket and the metal washer and the nut. Before you crank down on them too much, you want to make sure that up top you have this positioned about where you want it to be, because the more you crank down on it, the harder this is going to be to adjust up here. And you also want to make sure that the deck plate and the faucet are flush in with each other. I'm not sure if you cause damage by cranking down on it too much without those being in the right spot. You can kind of see under here the deck plate. You can't really see the gasket, but it has a gasket on the bottom of it. And it's not fully flush with my sink. I'm hoping that when I start cranking down on that nut, that it'll be flush. And if not, I'll just come back with some caulking later to make sure it's watertight, because I just really don't want water dripping down underneath my sink. So almost all this stuff's in the instructions here. But after you get that nut tightened on, you just take a screwdriver and tighten the 2 screws on the either side of it, just to help it snug up a little bit more. I'm going to work on mounting the control box. It gives you preferred measurements on where you want it to be. I'm going to get as close as I can, but you just got stuff under the sink that's going to get in the way. So I'll see where it ends up. Alright, so I got my control box mounted. Actually managed to get it pretty much where they asked for it. It's like 18 inches up and 10 inches over from these lines. The control box doesn't weigh that much. You can probably just get away with just driving the screws straight into the sheetrock. Again, be careful with what's behind it, because well, I have electricity back there somewhere, and you got your water lines too, so just be careful what you're doing. And if you want, you can use these little plastic pieces here. I think they're called anchors or something. Again, I'm not positive. You can put those in the wall. And I used the 5/32 drill bit. And that seemed to actually make the hole about the right size to punch those in. Alright, so I got the box installed. Have all the connections made to it. You can't really connect them wrong. They only fit in specific slots made for them. Have the water lines also connected. Again, make sure to put the blue striped one onto your cold water and the red striped one here onto your hot water. I use Teflon tape. It doesn't say to. I just do it to be safe. And you tighten them hand tight and go about a 1/4 turn past that. I might have gone about a 1/2 turn. And then you install this pull down head here. If you're having trouble getting this line out to attach it, you can just come underneath here where the weight is attached and just push up on it to get it to pop out at the top here. I had a little bit of trouble with mine, but once I started pushing that line up into it, it came out and I was able to connect it. So I'll get the water turned back on and give it a test run. I'm going to get the water back on and I checked for leaks. One thing I forgot to mention, before you put the control box in, it's just easier to put the batteries in while it's already out. If you just don't feel like getting down in there and installing batteries. You can also kind of see why plumbers charge a lot, because getting back in behind all these pipes and everything kind of gets sore. And you can also see why they hire apprentices so they can do this stuff for them. Alright, so it's all installed. I think it looks pretty nice. It's a brushed nickel, I think is the one that I got, and it fits pretty well with the stainless steel sink. And it looks like the gap sealed pretty well. I'll just see if it leaks any water before I go and do any caulking around it. I'd rather not if I don't have to. So it's time to give it a test run. Already had the sensor on. So that turns it off. Turns it back on. Let's see how close you got to get to this thing for it to work. Okay, that's not too bad. Yeah, I don't think you're going to have to worry about washing dishes and it turning off and on you. It also has the function where you pull this out and it's supposed to turn on. See if that works. Yeah. Back in. Shuts off. It's got this button up top here. There should be the pause button for it. Push it in, it pauses. And the switch here for spray. The strand. Comes out pretty hard too. I mean, it could also do your water pressure, but pretty decent. That's why this nozzle comes down to. So it almost touches the bottom of my sink. And then it's just stopped by the weight. If you really want to, you can move the control box closer and move the weight down a little bit. I'm not sure if that's going to mess with it or not. You can't really see it with the light. But yeah, it's just the weight stopping it from pulling down any further. But I kind of like it where it is. Then you just adjust it to the amount of pressure that you want and the temperature that you want. And then you can just leave it alone or adjust it while it's on. And if you shut it off, even when the sensor's on, it'll still shut off the water. And that's it. I like it. We'll see how it does over time, but yeah, it's a big improvement over what I had.